All right, parents, it's time for the talk. No, not that talk. To talk about priorities during junior year. I've noticed that with our students in our SAT and ACT programs, even though the time commitment for students' daily practices is just 30 to 40 minutes per day, 5 days a week, students will skip days or even a whole week of practices because their school workload was heavy. Now, before I get accused of not valuing students' education, let me state for the record that I was a math and Spanish teacher for 8 years in both private and public schools. Go Highlanders. So I absolutely believe students should give their best effort in their classes. However, until their junior year, most students haven't been so busy that they just didn't have enough time in the day to get everything done. I get it. These days, students have their sports practices and games, their club meetings, homework for their AP and general courses, tests to study for, tutoring sessions, volunteer work, and on top of it all, standardized test practice. It's exhausting just saying it all. As adults, we've learned that there just isn't enough time in the day to do everything on our to-do list. So what do? We prioritize. We do the things that are going to move the needle the most first, and learn to be okay with leaving some things unfinished in order to preserve our sanity and get enough sleep not to be running on fumes. Now you may be thinking, but now so many schools are test optional, right? Do the SAT and ACT really matter for their admission to universities? Unofficially, there's been a lot of talk that students who don't submit test scores are not given as high priority as those who do. But that's still just speculation. However, it is a fact that with many universities, merit-based scholarships are still tied to standardized test scores, not solely GPA. For example, here are Oakland University's merit-based scholarships. They range from $22,000 to $48,000 in scholarships, and all have an SAT or ACT requirement. To be fair, they do also have merit-based scholarship opportunities for students who don't submit standardized test scores. However, they range from $4,000 to $14,000, as much as a whopping $44,000 less than the scholarship opportunities that have standardized test score requirements. As another example, let's do a side-by-side comparison of Ferris State University's merit-based scholarship opportunities. Here on the left, we have scholarships that don't require standardized test scores, and they range from $6,000 to $20,000 over 4 years. On the right, we have those that do require test scores, which range from $6,000 to $40,000. The difference in the highest scholarship in these two categories is $20,000. The with standardized test category producing double the scholarship money than the non-standardized test category. Also notice that for the Provost Scholarship, for example, when submitting a standardized test score, the GPA requirement is a 3.5, whereas without a test score, the required GPA is a 3.75, 0.25 GPA points higher. By students' junior year, their GPA is pretty well established, for better or for worse. So when they're completing a 10-week SAT or ACT program, what should be the priority? Schoolwork or standardized test prep? Will doing their standardized test practice around midnight after they've completed all their homework for school produce quality test scores that will give them their best shot at not only admission into their desired university, but also scholarships so they don't spend their first several years of their career paying off their student loans? I doubt it. Or will 10 weeks of their coursework taking a slight hit in order to prioritize standardized test prep make their GPA plummet? Again, I don't think so. Whew. All right, we had the talk. It wasn't too painful, right? All right, parents, now it's your turn to have the talk with your child.